Edge at 11 starts now.
You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. But there's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
Tonight on The Edge, President Biden addresses the nation for the first time since announcing he would end his re-election bid. In that Oval Office address, the president explained his decision to leave the race and back Vice President Kamala Harris.
Mr. Biden saying he reveres the office of president, but loves his country more.
I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
President Biden also touted his accomplishments and his plans for his last 6 months in office.
He now hopes to rally Democrats and defeat President Trump. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin has reaction tonight.
We're looking forward to casting our ballots for her in Chicago next month. So a lot going on. A lot has happened since this weekend.
Wayne County Commissioner Jonathan Kinloch is one of the roughly 140 Democratic delegates from Michigan who will make Vice President Kamala Harris the official Democratic nominee for president. Now that President Joe Biden told the nation he's dropping his re-election bid, capping a 50-year career in public service, making way for his number 2 on the campaign trail.
It just speaks volumes as it relates to his trust and his confidence in the vice president.
Kinloch says the groundswell of support for Harris has been fast and furious behind the scenes in the days following Biden's departure from the 2024 contest.
Besides getting a lot of phone calls from everybody like, what the heck is going on? The party, our state party chair and other leaders began to come together and arrange for us to actually do a conference call by Zoom last night, and we were told that in the next few days to expect another communication bringing us together to cast a virtual sort of vote in support of the vice president.
And that's all before casting the official ballots at the Democratic convention in Chicago.
Before I depart from the planet, I would love to see a woman in the White House, to be perfectly candid, as a woman.
Wayne State political science professor Marjorie Sarbaugh Thompson says she remembers the last time a president walked away from re-election, something that's quite rare in American politics. But she says this time is much different, with no one challenging Harris for the top spot on the ticket.
Unlike the situation with Lyndon Johnson, where he had an existing challenger, and then his poor performance in the New Hampshire primary attracted a very strong challenger of Bobby Kennedy, there isn't that kind of field.
Of course, Vice President Harris will have to fill that ticket out with her own vice presidential nominee, and many of the Michigan delegates we talked with still like the idea of names like Governor Gretchen Whitmer, but of course the governor says she is committed to staying in Michigan. Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
And we have much more on the president's address coming up tonight on The Pulse. Plus, a surprising request from former President Donald Trump, another record-shattering day on the campaign trail for Harris, and a new warning about misinformation warfare on your social media. It all starts right after The Edge at about 11:43.
The Israeli Prime Minister addressing the House and Senate in a joint session this afternoon.
Prime Minister Netanyahu seeking support for the war in Gaza and discussing his vision for the future.
The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Prime Minister Netanyahu also elaborated on the tragic events of October 7th, the day Hamas launched their surprise attack on Israel. He also thanked President Biden for his support, even as Rashida Tlaib held up a sign saying war criminal the entire time. The president, Vice President Harris, and former President Trump later this week plan on meeting with him. Not everybody was thrilled to hear from him, including Congresswoman Tlaib, sitting silently holding that sign. Her silent protest, a much different scene than the protests held right outside.
Well, protesters from across the country descending on the nation's capital today. A U.S. flag set ablaze. Hundreds arrested and pepper sprayed ahead of Netanyahu's speech. Activists also calling on Congress to stop further funding of Israel's war in Gaza.
Well, there's a disruptive demonstration to tell you about in Howell, reigniting the town's history.
White supremacists making their presence known. Fox News' Jessica Dupnack with more details on the group making their mark.
Downtown Howell is pretty much always like this, pretty quiet, picturesque even. But last Saturday, quite the opposite. A crew rolled into town, causing a little bit of chaos.
Our city slogan is "Every day is an event," so we always have something going on.
Oh, that's the truth. And once in a while, the event, unfortunately, looks like this.
Saw a few men, teenagers maybe, all like covered in black, kind of like ninjas.
They're not ninjas, white supremacists, Nazis, KKK sympathizers. Those are all fitting for the crew of a dozen men downtown Howell last weekend.
I can sum it up in 2 words. Their messaging was white power. That was the only thing I heard them chant.
Shannon Harvey lives a block away from the courthouse downtown where they were. She could hear them.
Signs and megaphones and just generally disrupting the peace.
They moved from the courthouse to the library. Then it all dismantled and they went home. Out of towners, of course.
Was very surprised to hear the type of language they were using downtown. It's something that you don't hear here often.
But there is likely a reason they chose Howell. A top leader of the KKK, Robert Miles, held cross burnings and rallies nearby in the 1960s. He's since passed. Howell's mayor, Bob Ellis, says it's an image the town has worked hard to shake.
I think it's almost a generational thing that we need to prove who we are every day.
And stuff like this sure does not help. The town better represented by Wednesday's concert in the park with families, a little slice of Americana.
We've been doing everything possible to try to encourage people to come and let them know that this is 50 years ago, that we've definitely evolved since then.
We did do a little digging, and as far as we could find, no one specifically was taking credit for this demonstration. Reporting in Howell, Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
All right, turning to the weather, get ready for less heat and less humidity.
Oh, it's good news for Roop over here. Yeah. Weather Authority Rich Luderman joining us with what we can expect.
Tara and Roop, we've had a cold front cross the region this afternoon. You can see most of the showers and storms along that frontal boundary through Pennsylvania and parts of New England. Around here, we did have some light showers this morning. There are still a few very light showers right there on radar, close to Algonac and approaching Mount Clemens. But again, these are very, very weak. How about live pictures from the bridge? A little cooler up there, 63 degrees. Mackinac Bridge looks nice tonight. We made it to 79 today, 67 the morning low. There are your averages and your records. Check out the current numbers. 60 in Ann Arbor. That's a cool spot. 66 in Port Huron, 69 Pontiac, 68 over in Windsor. The dew points finally are falling, and with that, the humidity comes down as well. 60 in Ludington. Look at Marquette, Michigan right now. 50 degrees up in the central UP. 72 out in Buffalo. Once again, dangerous heat out west. Bakersfield and Palm Springs. How about Vegas? 108 right now. There's Phoenix at 106. For us, high pressure builds in, and that means great weather for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You'll see it in the 7-day. Still a stray shower chance for the next couple of hours. 80 degrees tomorrow, sun and clouds with less humidity. And then right there is the 7-day forecast. Warming up by Sunday. More humidity and storm chances early next week. Roop and Taryn, a full check starting at 4 a.m.
As the Melvindale Police Department mourns the loss of one of their own, a local business has decided to raise money for Officer Mohammed Saeed's family.
Yeah, the 26-year-old was killed in the line of duty over the weekend. Now, the Westbourne Car Wash will host a fundraiser on the day he's laid to rest.
This Friday, we'll be donating 50% of our proceeds at both locations to the family of the fallen officer, Mohammed Saeed's family. Friday, thank God, it's going to be a nice sunny day, and that's going to be the day we lay Officer Mohammed Saeed to rest. So, get your car shined up, get your car cleaned, and let's raise some money for this family to help alleviate some of that burden that comes with burying a child.
Man was 23 years old. 23. By the way, Ali Turfi, the owner of Westbourne Car Wash, tells us his brother is in law enforcement, so Officer Saeed's death hits home. You can find Westbourne Car Wash locations in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights.
In Highland Park, a man is now charged for a deadly shooting from last week. 35-year-old Paul Williams is accused in the homicide Friday morning in the area of Woodward in McLean. Now, the 33-year-old man was killed. Williams was arrested shortly after. He's being held right now in the Wayne County Jail.
Well, everybody involved in the murder of an Oak Park jeweler has now learned their fate. Philip Sumter is the fifth and final suspect sentenced for the murder of Dan Hutchinson. Sumter was found guilty of conspiracy to murder after Hutch was shot and killed down the street from his jewelry store in 2022. Marco Bisbikis, the man behind the plot, and the hitman were both sentenced to life behind bars. More legal trouble is brewing tonight for the former CFO of the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy.
William Smith has a new lawsuit on his hands, and he's not alone. He's already facing charges tied to a multi-million-dollar embezzlement scheme. A civil suit filed today alleges Smith tried to cover it up by transferring money to different groups, taking cash out of the Conservancy account, then wiring it out and forging fake bank documents. But it goes even further than that. The lawsuit also claims his mother, sister, and wife were in on it.
These relatives accepted these cards and they used them. They knew what Smith's income level was. They knew that they were charging exorbitant amounts, and all of those amounts were paid for with the Conservancy's funds.
Several other businesses and friends were also named in the lawsuit. After 6 years, the connection of the Gordie Howe International Bridge Deck is complete.
The project, a third link between Detroit and Canada.
This spectacular bridge that connects Windsor and Detroit also reminds us that in movement there is freedom and opportunity and endless possibility.
40,000 people use the Ambassador Bridge every day. That includes truck drivers carrying supplies worth millions of dollars. The new Gordie Howe Bridge will allow more traffic into both countries, hopefully avoiding traffic jams. Crews expect to finish the bridge by next fall.